The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. The only thing that is ultimately real about your journey is the step you are taking at this moment. The only way to get out of the labyrinth of suffering is to turn around and confront the Minotaur. The only thing that will satisfy you is to do what you were created to do. The only thing that will make you happy is being happy with who you are and not who people think you are. The only thing that you really own is your own mind. The only thing that will save you is to let go of everything that is holding you back. The only thing that you can really control is your own attitude. The only thing that you can really trust is your own experience. The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. The more a thing tends to be permanent, the more it tends to be lifeless. We cannot be more sensitive to pleasure without being more sensitive to pain. The meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious, and so simple. The only Zen you can find on the tops of mountains is the Zen you bring up there. You and I are all as much continuous with the physical universe as a wave is continuous with the ocean. You are a function of what the whole universe is doing in the same way that a wave is a function of what the whole ocean is doing. Trying to define yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth. No valid plans for the future can be made by those who have no capacity for living now. To have faith is to trust yourself to the water. When you swim, you don't grab hold of the water, because if you do, you will sink and drown. Instead, you relax and float. Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. You are what you do, not what you say you will do. You are an aperture through which the universe is looking at and exploring itself. Problems that remain persistently insoluble should always be suspected as questions asked in the wrong way. We do not come into this world. We come out of it as leaves from a tree. Reality is only a Rorschach ink blot, you know. The ego is a social institution with no physical reality. The ego is simply your symbol of yourself. But I'll tell you what hermits realize. If you go off into a far, far forest and get very quiet, you'll come to understand that you're connected with everything. Waking up to who you are requires letting go of who you imagine yourself to be. Life and love generate effort, but effort will not generate them. Faith in life, in other people, and in oneself is the attitude of allowing the spontaneous to be spontaneous in its own way and in its own time. There will always be suffering, but we must not suffer over the suffering. You don't look out there for God, something in the sky, you look in you. We cannot be more sensitive to pleasure without being more sensitive to pain. The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. The meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious, and so simple. The more a thing tends to be permanent, the more it tends to be lifeless. We are the eyes through which the universe looks at itself. We can never solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. The past is gone, the future is uncertain, the present is all we have. We are born alone, we live alone, we die alone. Only our love and compassion can bridge the isolation. We seldom realize, for example, that our most private thoughts and emotions are not actually our own, for we think in terms of languages and images which we did not invent, but which were given to us by our society. The reason we have poverty is that we have no imagination. There are a great many people accumulating what they think is vast wealth, but it's only money. They don't know how to enjoy it because they have no imagination.